everybody. It is an exciting day. We are kicking off the Big Data Beards virtual race to .conf. And we are starting at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And this race is brought to you by our friends at Red River Technologies. And I'm joined by Kush Kumar. He's the Senior Vice President of Sales for Red River. Kush, welcome to the race. Tell us a little bit about Red River.
Well, Corey, first, thanks for having us. Red River is really excited to be a part of this event. Splunk's an enormous partner, and I know it's virtual this year, so we're just happy to be part of it. So thanks for having us on the team.
Absolutely. Well, tell me a little bit about, and you said you're a big Splunk partner for those who don't know Red River. Tell us a little bit about what Red River delivers to your customers.
Yeah, thanks, Corey. Well, I first wanted to say Red River was probably one of the first partners that Splunk ever had. We were a former global partner of the year. So the leader over at Splunk, Frank Demine, is a dear friend, and he and I kind of started building the federal Splunk Red River practice, and it's kind of grown from there. Red River has clearly invested a ton of resources, and money, people in building our Splunk portfolio, investments in a lot of certifications, especially in the IoT side, security side, the IT ops side. It's a wonderful partnership, and we're clearly growing every year on the sales side. So we're really excited about it, Corey.
Absolutely. Well, conferences look a little bit different this year. Tell me your perspective on kind of the virtual conference. What are you excited about in this context?
Anytime we can have the opportunity to learn more about what Splunk is doing, get information. Yes, seeing people face to face and having that human interaction is priceless. But for us as a company, we're so mature. We've been around the business for over 25 years. Our Splunk relationship is not brand new. We have the right relationships across the board. So for us, it's continuing to learn about where Splunk is going, how we can fit them into our portfolio, into our reference architectures. Because as a VAR, what's really important for me is to be able to deliver consistently. And for us to do that is to build the right reference architectures into our business, so we have a more proven delivery model that we can support our customers with.
Absolutely. Well, the team at Red River has 2 cars racing in all the races this year, and we're racing in those beautiful McLaren MP4 GT3s. Kush, I'm curious, how bad would you like to actually physically own one of those MP4s?
Isn't it every man's dream as a child growing up? That would be euphoria to have a car like that. And I got to tell you, I think once I get my kids out of the house and pay for college, that might be the next investment I ask my wife to make for me. So
that's all.
That would be a dream come true.
That's awesome. Well, we'll be back later in the race broadcast with Kush to talk more about those great outcomes that Red River is driving for customers and how they're helping customers achieve everything they desire to achieve with Splunk's data to everything platform. But it's time to go racing, folks. And we are racing here at the world famous Brickyard, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, for the very first race in the Big Data Beards virtual race to Splunk's .conf20. Kush, why don't you do the honors?
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
Well, welcome everyone to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where we kick off the very first race in the virtual race to .conf. We've got a great field made up of Splunk partners and Big Data Beard supporters. And today's race is going to be quite incredible to watch, with McLaren bringing 2 great drivers that absolutely have put on a clinic in practice and qualifying. Well, Brett, I'm curious, how excited are you to see this race get underway?
Man, Corey, it is fall. The leaves are changing colors. There's pumpkin spice smell in the air. But here at the Brickyard today, there's another smell, and that's rubber on road. And I couldn't be more excited. Today's going to be a great race with some great racers from around the world.
Absolutely. Well, we fielded drivers around the world, as Brett said. We've got more than 4 continents represented here today, and it's going to be quite incredible to see, because we're actually using an iRacing simulation platform. While you may see this footage and it looks incredibly real, it absolutely is not. It's actually being done, like I said, by racers from around the world using the iRacing simulator. We're going to see the racers go around the track one time with the pace car leading the way, just allow them to bunch up and kind of get settled in the track so that we have a good start. Now, Brett, I'm curious from your perspective, what do you think the keys are for today's race to win?
Yeah, Corey, I've been doing a lot of research into this and into this track, and generally speaking, what I found is that the car that crosses the finish line first wins the race. So I think the number one key is being first.
I tend to agree with that. I think that's probably a good idea. I would say that I think the racers that have a chance to get past McLaren early in the race are going to be really important, though I'm not sure how possible it is. But we're going to see some great racing action. I'm curious to see how the kind of the middle of the field comes out of the gate, because one of the things that's absolutely true in iRacing is that this is a simulation platform. It is not a video game. And so there's things you'll hear us talk about around the physics engine that drives the racing action. And one of those things that is abundantly real is tires. Brett, I don't know if you have any experience or had any experience with the tires in iRacing, but how real is it importance in terms of heating up those tires to get good grip?
Yeah, Corey, you don't want to have cold tires in this simulator because you're going to go off the road very quickly. So get your tires warm, get them warm early, and get ready to race them.
You saw those McLarens swerving back and forth. Really, that's just intended to create a little bit of extra friction at this lower speed, because they are really aware of something that happens in these races, which is you can have a lot of things go wrong or right in that very first turn, because you've got, again, pretty cold tires. They haven't come up to track speed yet. The track is quite cool based on the settings and the setup of the racetrack in iRacing. And so they want to make sure that they get as much energy or heat as possible into those tires, so we don't have a first turn hero or a first turn disaster. So right now you're going to see the pace car pull off here shortly as they enter the straightaway, coming out of turn 14, coming back on that straightaway to go cross the legendary Brickyard finish line. Now with the pace car away, you'll see the McLaren start to slow up so that they can bunch up the group, so that they can have that acceleration really kick off. Everybody, I can't tell you how excited we are to share with you the very first race to .conf, and we are underway with the McLaren team jockeying. You'll notice those beautiful McLaren cars. Those are the McLaren MP4 12C. They're an absolute machine on the track. Brett, let's keep our eyes peeled here and see if everybody makes it clear through the first turn, because that's where some of the excitement can happen.
And you hope that they warmed up their tires enough.
Oh, there we go. It's Kyle Prinz in a beautifully painted McLaren, slips off the track, losing some positions there. That is a challenge. Now look at there.
Hate to see that happen, Corey.
Absolutely. Splunk team still chasing down the McLaren folks, seeing if you can get ahead early, because that is going to be key to the race. Some tidy action there. Tom West being chased by yours truly in that BMW. Oh, and Brett in the other BMW, the Freedom Machine, takes a slide off the track right there in turn 6. But look at that, Brett. Great track awareness, not coming back on the track too quickly to allow your other patrons to join you. Now, one of the things that we want you all to be aware of is that this race and the 10 races that we have as part of this series are going to have some segments that you're really going to enjoy. We're going to have tech segments where we explain the technology behind the ability to make this all happen. We're going to talk about using Splunk to actually deep dive into the race data as to explain what's happening in the race. And we're going to have a post-race section where we actually allow our resident Splunk Trust member, Tom West, to deep dive into why the race turned out the way it did by diving into the data. Then we're also going to invite our race sponsors to come in and do interviews in the virtual commentating booth throughout the race. So you'll want to make sure to tune into the entire race, because we've got great segments where you're going to learn a lot, not only about iRacing and about esports, but also about our partners and what they're doing to help Splunk customers solve problems at scale. Let's check in for our first segment.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first tech segment that you're going to see as part of the virtual race to .conf, and we're going to cover what you need to get started with iRacing. First, you need a gaming PC. The system requirements can be found by going to iRacing.com, click on the membership tab, and look at hardware requirements. So you got to have a PC. It's a gaming PC with a decent GPU, pretty recent CPU, good memory, and some storage, obviously. You also need a steering wheel. While the website will show that you can use things like a joystick or a gaming pad like an Xbox controller, I highly encourage you not to. This is a racing simulator. It's super hard to do so. A steering wheel is your best choice. We all ended up using the Logitech wheels on the Big Data Beard team, but there's lots of great options that are USB connected wheels. You're also going to need a monitor of some sort. So many of these modern gaming machines can support one very high resolution monitor. You can also go with a 3 monitor setup where you have a main monitor and then 2 that give you that more immersive field of view. You can also use virtual reality, and I know a number of the racers today are actually using VR headsets for full immersion, so you can do things like turn in and look at the corners. So really, you need a gaming PC, a way to view that PC, and you need a steering wheel and pedals to get going, and then a membership to iRacing.com. Now back to the race.
Well, welcome back, everybody. As you've seen during the racing action there, the Splunk Signal FX car struggled with a little bit of spin. Ben Derringer losing control, but he's back. Look at that, just a little tailspin. I'm not sure if it was from a bump. Could have been friendly fire there, Brett. I'm not real sure.
Yeah, it looked like there might have been a little incidental contact right there, Corey.
We'll have to go back and look at the incident points. That's one of the things that iRacing is really good about, is creating really good, rich data about what's going on in the race. But you can see here so far in the race, the story is really the McLaren team, Tomic and Nathan driving the 1 and 2 cars, pulling away from the pack. You can see the gap there in the overlays, over 12 seconds ahead, almost 13 seconds between them and Westy and myself. This is 2 drivers who are either professional esports drivers or trainers and coaches for the McLaren esports team. And esports, an absolutely growing and wild sort of industry that I don't think many of us maybe really understand how big of a deal it is. But before we get into any more of the racing action breakdown here, we want to jump in with our friends from Red River to hear more about how they're helping to solve challenges for customers using Splunk and really helping federal customers extract the most value from data. So we'll be right back after this quick interview.
Thanks, Corey. We're back with Kush. And Kush, I really just want to first start out by asking you to explain a little bit about what Red River technology is and how do you deliver value to your customers.
Well, thanks. Like I said, I'm really excited to be here, and thanks, Brett. Red River is an enormous Splunk partner. We've had a lot of successes together, but I really see the reason that Splunk came to us years ago was we have a really dynamic sales organization. Red River is a leading partner in this industry regarding delivering solutions to the business. As a former SE myself, I really helped to shape the sales culture around technical selling. So the things that we bring to the table are really unique, have really been centered around a lot of the acquisitions we've made. VARs tend at times to look alike. We really wanted to find a way, Brett, to be a little different. So we knew that just reselling product and support and services just wasn't going to be the trend that Red River wanted to see. We wanted to get ahead of the business. So not only from a configuration, architecture, and logistics and training, the things that normal VARs provide, but Red River's made some enormous investments in the past 3-4 years. So I wanted to call out, we purchased DevOps companies, Docker-based organizations, IaaS, PaaS, cloud migration services, cloud advisory services. We also bought a pure app dev company. We knew that world was going to be shifting. We were going to have to do some custom code development and program management. And finally, we purchased a company last year that is pure managed services. So whether it's up and down that stack of security, through high-end solutions like SIM, for basic security offerings as well, Office 365, Azure, all the different cloud platforms. We kind of focus on migration, DevOps, storage, and networking. We knew this was going to be something we had to add to the portfolio more than just from an acquisition perspective, but from a technical perspective. So Brett, we're really excited to be able to leverage all these capabilities. And I think when I was speaking to Corey this morning, I was talking about how we drive our reference architecture to the business, to our end user customer. The better I can do that, the better I can deliver a consistent delivery model that allows me to be successful. And of course, we're going to be able to move pieces in and out, but to have a consistent approach to solve certain custom problems that our customers have today, we know we can be much more aligned if we go to market with these reference architectures.
Yeah, so you're really focusing on the value add portion of the VAR, right? The important part.
Right.
Yeah, and when you think of that and your partnership with Splunk, how are you leveraging your portfolio to create that value add with the Splunk portfolio?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, we always want to accentuate the value add piece of our organization. And really, like I started off by saying about engineering. We view ourselves as an engineering company. So all of our engineers clearly support customers. And we have 2 different lines of engineers, where we have customer-facing engineers that are on the revenue side that are obviously really wide in their technical breadth, because they're speaking to customers about a multitude, an array of solutions, array of capabilities. But behind those SEs, we have practice teams. And our practice teams really are deeply embedded around certain areas like the routing and switching, data center, analytics. And I think that's where we get really strong, because those organizations tie into levels of effort, statements of work, technologists. So we bring that capability to the business for Splunk in that analytics world. We want to get outside of just log aggregation, log aggregation, really focusing on ITSI and ES. And I think that's where we seem to bring a lot more value than most Splunk partners in the business, right? Because we also have the capability and the investments and resources to drive that value. And obviously being a 600-person company, we have the wherewithal, we have the sales engine to continue to drive the right pipeline, and then bring in the right resource from a technical perspective for Splunk.
That's awesome. And so where are you all focusing? What are some of the use cases that you are seeing out there, but that you are helping your customers drive?
So we've been really, we've been extremely successful into working our reference architectures into what we call the remote workplace insights, and driving that initiative inside of Splunk and Red River. So our solutions we're really going to market with, not only technically, but also from a marketing capability with, and we're getting the right visibility, because as our coworkers and even in the public sector space, students come back into the schools or the workplace, we're really driving how they, through this workplace initiatives, we're driving how they come back and make sure that transition back to the office and the school is as seamless as possible. And we're doing as customers are driving, it's all about data. And today, sometimes there's an overflow of data. So we're building these solutions that have data in them. So for all the IoT is just a lot of information. So we're making sure we're aggregating this information, this data, so customers can really provide the right situational awareness. What's the point of having a lot of data if you're not going to really use it and make the best decisions with it? So we're making sure that we have a platform working with Splunk that our customers can really look and make real-time decisions, like in the Department of Defense. It's like situational awareness is the key to, the battlefield. These battlefield applications and programs are really how our men and women in the field, are safe, and we want to make great decisions. So the data that's being ingested, working within the platforms, the infrastructure that Red River provides, is really the key for our partnership.
Well, Coach, it's truly amazing what Red River is doing and how they are working with Splunk to add even more additional value to this data to everything platform. This is really exciting, and we're going to double click into some of these things later on in the broadcast. But right now, let's go back to Corey and check in on the race.
Well, Brett, thanks for that wonderful interview. I'm curious, what did you think about the conversation there?
Yeah, I thought it was electric, very exciting. And Corey, our new field correspondent, he is pretty slick. I think he deserves a raise.
I couldn't agree with you more, except you forgot that this is not a paying gig. This is just for fun. And I tell you what, the reality in the race is that we're starting to see something come to fruition, which is that there is a big difference between the skill levels and the folks that are participating in this race. And that is not a negative thing. That is a wonderful thing. We've got folks that are, absolute professionals like the McLaren team, to folks like our friend Jason Stein, who's actually done iRacing on the side pretty competitively and won. Just some folks that are in the race that this is their very first time really getting behind the wheel of a simulator, ever driving on a track, potentially even virtual or real life. And that's the beauty of iRacing, is the low barrier to entry to actually allow people to get out, get racing, and experience and build some of the skills that it takes to go racing. So you're going to see the leaders in the track. You can see there's really only 5 cars still on the lead lap, and it's probably going to get even more disparate as we go through the rest of the race. Oh, we see the Dell car go off there. That's too bad. Mike Nabhan was jockeying to stay ahead of Brett. Looks like he will potentially lose that position.
Yeah, I think he got distracted by the freedom there, Corey.
Oh, absolutely. And look here, we've got a race here for third place. Look at that. Buttercup is fighting his way past Westy. He worked his way past me pretty handily, which is not a surprise. But we're coming into the straightaway, and look at those McLarens absolutely jockeying for position. Tom West looking to find clean air to get out in front of him. And it looks like he won't be able to hold it. Let's take a minute to deep dive into the data behind what just happened in that pass.
Hey team, just saw that pass by Buttercup to Westy and wanted to dive into the data behind it. Let's jump right into our instance and see what exactly happened there. I went ahead and pulled up the speed metrics around that of the comparison of Buttercup to Westy based upon the lap performance. From here we can see a quick decline in the cornering of that first turn, and what we can show there is Westy actually braked a little bit early, which then gave Buttercup a bit more time around that. We've also included the fastest lap from the leader right now, which is the McLaren 2 car, which can show you kind of a baseline of the top speed for that as well. So what we're hoping to see is closeness to that fastest lap so far. And what we can see from this data is Westy braked just a bit too quick, and that let Buttercup get right past him. The one thing we can look at as well is latitude and longitude acceleration. And from here, let's go ahead and jump right into the front point of that track using our Splunk dashboard. Thank you to Red River today for sponsoring the event. And what we can see right here is also Westy just having a bit of a turning too late. So he's accelerating just a little too late, whereas Buttercup is taking that turn quicker. We're also seeing from longitude acceleration, so G-forces on that axis, that Westy braked again and turned just a bit too quickly, and then also turned a bit too hard around that corner. So what was able to happen was Buttercup was actually able to take the turn quite a bit smoother and then achieve a top speed out of that turn. Just wanted to share a bit of the science behind it. Back to you.
All right, everybody, we're back with the racing action, and as expected, McLaren continues to build quite a gap. Now, I will tell you what, Nathan here has pulled away, it looks like, from Tomic a little bit, which is quite interesting to see those two jockeying for spots. Now, one of the things we wanted to call your attention to as you continue to watch these races, again, we've got great segments, great interviews. I will tell you to stay tuned. We've got some incredible Grand Marshals interviews. I want to give you a little primer. We've got execs from all of our sponsors joining us, and we have a special guest in our race that McLaren is sponsoring at Silverstone just 2 days away. And Lando Norris is going to be joining us as the Grand Marshal, F1 driver for McLaren's racing team. We are incredibly excited. Oh, and here we go. We got some action. The Freedom BMW, piloted by Brett Roberts, goes in the grass with Juan Fernandez in the Intel McLaren. Brett, what happened here?
You know, just sometimes you gotta farm a little bit. I was looking for carrots, I was looking for beets, and, but honestly, just didn't take that turn the way I wanted to. I planned it all week, just did not execute.
Brett goes out in the garden looking for a mid-race snack. Turns out he gets a little bit more than he bargained for. There, Kyle looks like he's giving you a little nudge to get around the track. Oh, it looks like that nudge may have put you into an unstable position, causing you to actually bounce off of that Intel car. I think we need to talk with Kyle about his manners on the track.
Yeah, I never want to call out another fellow racer for bad activity on the track, but man, that Kyle, after his first turn mishap on turn one, he was out there for vengeance, Corey.
He's fighting his way back to the top, and he did gain a position on you, so it's while rubbing, I guess it turns out rubbing really is racing. Oh, look at there, Kyle. He's a voracious eater of positions. Look at him passing that Dell Technologies McLaren. It is kind of interesting, we haven't really talked about the fact that these cars are all beautifully painted. It is quite a cool thing that you can actually go in and create custom paint jobs, and so the teams all either took time themselves to do it, or the Big Data Beard team helped create these really awesome looking cars with logos and color schemes that really represented the brand. So I just want to say a big thanks to all of our sponsors for making this race possible and for taking the time to build such beautiful race cars.
Yeah, this truly is a fantastic just view of a virtual race, and the cars look fantastic, Corey.
Absolutely. I love seeing those that Red River McLaren going around the track, flames spewing out the back. It just looks so stinking cool. Now, if you're not aware, folks, we do have some awesome podcasts coming your way every day of the virtual race.conf. We've invited the sponsor of the race. So as in today's race, Red River is our race sponsor. And we've actually got Amin Murad, one of the technologists from Red River, coming on to talk to us about how they're marrying the technologies of IoT and AI, leveraging Splunk to extract value for customers in the federal space. So you definitely want to tune in to hear about some of their reference architecture solutions that really expedite the value creation in data for our federal customers. Now here we see the McLaren cars. They're just driving those cars to the absolute edge. You saw that little bit of slide, but really for cars to go fast around a track, they have to be on that razor's edge of just about to slide off the track. Here we see the McLarens just absolutely working. Red River looks like they've had some car damage. Now, one of the things that is also real is that you can actually go get repairs. Brett, tell us a little bit about the pit situation here in iRacing.
Yeah, so from someone who is very familiar with the pit in iRacing, one of the things when you wreck, your car does not perform as it could at its peak, so you do need to get repairs. Now, generally, a repair could take minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. There's these things called fast repairs where you can actually go into the pit and within a couple seconds get your car repaired and get back onto the track. So it really does accelerate your time to stay in the race.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's great. And in the setups that we have here, you don't really need to take on fuel or tires. We didn't really want to introduce that level of complexity in race strategy. We really wanted to give this, again, diverse field of talent the best chance to come out here and be competitive and have some fun. Now, these GT3 cars are really hard to drive. If you jump on iRacing, this is not the car you start in. So it's absolutely fun to see these folks, that some absolutely pushing the limits and some just out there having a blast on the track. Now, let's go back and check in with our friend Kush and Brett to hear more about Red River's absolute value to Splunk customers in the federal space.
Thanks, Corey. We're back with Kush to hear a little bit more about what Red River and Splunk are doing to, again, drive value with the data and everything platform. And Kush, earlier you talked a lot about use cases and some of the things that Red River is focusing on. I'm curious to know, what are you seeing in the market with your customers, as far as, are they gravitating to any specific use case, or is there a rise in any specific use case as it relates to Splunk?
Yeah, great question, Brett. I mean, there's a lot of things we're clearly seeing, and we have to pick and choose about things that we want to focus on. And everyone is going towards the IT operations, and I think that's something Red River really excels in. In our old business, we were a really attractive partner to Splunk in the beginning because of our enormous data center business. And at the beginning, I was talking about getting away just from logging and aggregation. Coming into the IT ops place is a specialty for Red River. So getting into the event monitoring, behavioral analytics, the more we're in the operations inside that data center, the more value we're going to bring to Splunk. Another big thing is customers are really deciding today what the future of their business model looks like, how they're going to, their data model. Are they going to be on-prem? Are they going to be off-prem? Are they going to be hybrid? I think we bring a lot to that table, and Splunk does as well. Splunk's cloud offering is a market leader. And clearly, it's one we lead with when they want to go to that cloud space. But Red River has a ton of capabilities around migration. Do they want to be kind of hybrid in the data center? Do they want to have certain applications inside of the cloud or moving to the cloud, and cloud security? Those are areas that we invest in, and we make sure our security teams are really across the board. And I think we bring, Brett, best practices. Yes, our OEM partners mean the world to us. But at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to provide the best industry practices to our customer and make sure that Splunk's technology works in their environment and integrates with other products that they have out there. So that was another thing. I think I talked about some of the orchestration tools like Phantom, a big rise in the Phantom space. And Red River's definitely leading that charge. There's some incredible opportunities are working there. But like I said, that cloud space is really booming in healthcare environments. So with HHS and VH, some incredible opportunity working with Splunk on Splunk Cloud. And I believe Red River closed one of the largest deals, maybe have been the largest public sector deal for Splunk Cloud in the beginning of the year. So we're really excited about the momentum we're building with the Splunk teams.
Yeah, and so it's interesting because you talk public sector, you talk the federal space. Obviously, with the federal space, there's been a little bit more hesitancy to gravitate to full cloud. Where are you seeing some of the federal entities move towards when it relates to cloud?
Yeah, that's obviously a major issue we've been dealing with. The federal space lags a little bit in the industry, and I also have the commercial organization. So we see commercial just far in front. And kind of driving and leading some of the public sector. I'll tell you, SLED, I think, is ahead of even federal. But, at this moment, federal recognizes they got to take advantage of some of this technology and architectures to provide a better solution to their end user customers. They just can't grow continuously on-prem. They recognize that. The highly regulatory and compliant issues they deal with just become too much. And we in the industry, like our Splunk partner, pushes them as much as they can to the cloud, take advantage of shared computing, shared resources, economies of scale, cost. So, I think that's a value that both companies are bringing.
Now, you talked a little bit in the previous segment about some of the app dev investments that Red River is making. I'm curious, just why is Red River investing in this space, and why do you feel that this is what organizations need to build out that capacity? What are you looking for in this investments with the app dev?
Yeah, Brad, great question. And we obviously saw this years in advance, and we made the board and our executive team made the right decisions to kind of get in front of it. We feel like customers are looking for not just lift and shift, right? They can do a simple lift and shift of their application into the cloud, but also, our customers need, whether it's refactoring, doing some application rationalization with their apps. How do we help them migrate? It's part of just a journey on the cloud, and we wanted to have those in-house capabilities, Brett, because it helped us be different, and we wanted to make sure that we had deep technical skill sets and not outsourcing those skills. So instead of organically growing, we made those investments and coming into the company to add to the portfolio. Application development, is something that it's a very service-rich culture, and we wanted to make sure we're embedding that into our requirements gathering and kind of showing our customer base that, look, Red River's investing in this type of business because you need that help. They don't have the coding mentalities. They don't have the folks that can code, that they surely can code, but the skill set that Red River brings in migrating these apps and developing, sometimes you have to kill those apps and develop new applications. Sometimes that might be the right thing to do in the federal space, as they've kept some of the sustainment and legacy of these applications. And sometimes, frankly, Brett, they just got to go and rebuild them. So we got in front of this market a couple of years ago, and we purchased an organization in 2018. That was really a catalyst for our cloud business and also our entry point into public sector.
Oh, very cool. And how are you seeing the convergence or, the coming together of app dev and IT? And where do you see Splunk is kind of playing that critical role in this journey to modernizing IT and app dev?
Well, yeah, Splunk's definitely a large piece of that, as all these multiple data sources. As we have more data, we need Splunk to allow us to provide more situational awareness, more real-time data, some event monitoring, behavioral analytics. The more data we bring, that's where Splunk really comes into play. And we've seen that. We've seen Splunk not just be in the security space, but into the not just aggregation of data, but helping our end user customers make great decisions with their data. Like, they just don't have enough resources today, Brett. And the only way for them to do that is to use Splunk as their platform. And Red River can connect many platforms together. And working with Splunk is it's just not the platforms they live in today, but it's AI, ML, DL, the things that we know we can come together and bring all these resources and platforms together to provide more data and more infrastructure for our customers.
Yeah. So it really, truly is incredible to hear how Red River is even bringing more value on top of Splunk's data to everything platform. Kush, it's been awesome having you join us today. Thank you so much. And Corey, let's get back to the conclusion of the race.
Well, thanks, Brett. What a crazy set of racing action happening behind you and Kush. Great interview. But man, that was some wild action on the track. Seeing some cars take some flips, losing hoods, all kinds of damage. Brett, what did you see in those crazy interactions?
Man, Corey, that was just crazy. And you never want to see a car get into an accident. And you just hope that those virtual drivers are okay.
Absolutely. I hope no one was hurt in the comfort of their own home driving those cars. But man, that was a wild wreck. Lots of contact. That car probably is just still damaged, maybe didn't get the repairs done, and just uncomfortable on the track when you lose steering like that. So that's too bad. But really the story here is it looks like we've got the first and second positions pretty well in hand. It looks like the McLaren team is absolutely going to own the position 1, position 2. Jason Stein in the Buttercup Splunk car is absolutely, got a 20-second lead over Tom West. So it's looking pretty close there in terms of position 1, 2, and 3. But man, there's some great racing action really for the team fighting to stay in that top 10. This race is 1 of 10 races, and we're going to be scoring, and you earn points for every single finish. So the better you finish over the entire series will determine our overall winner of the Big Data Beard's virtual race to Splunk.conf20. Now, I do want to invite everybody. Obviously, you're seeing the race now, but we want to invite you back for the rest of the races. And we want you to check out the website, bigdatabeard.com/VR2C, because the racing times will change throughout the series. What we're trying to do is provide a truly global experience for the audience, for the folks that are going to be attending .conf to have their chance in their local time zone to enjoy the racing. And we go to tracks around the world, not only tracks in North America, but we venture in our third race over Silverstone. We spend races in the back half over in Asia and Australia. And so we want to make sure that you understand the races will start at 5 p.m. at the local time of the track. And so make sure you follow us on YouTube and subscribe to the channel so you get alerts on when we go live. There we see the Del car just fighting to maintain that 10th position, taking a little slide there. You'd hate to see that, but it is an absolutely beautiful McLaren.
Yeah, Corey, and right now I think the theme of this is who's going to get 9, 10, and 11. You see Kyle and Brett in the Del car kind of jockeying for those positions, and it's going to be interesting to see how this race boils down to at the end, who's going to get in the top 10.
Yeah, you want to know how good those McLaren folks are. They're out there passing up. They're about to pass me. I'm about to become lap traffic in position number 5. That is how much faster these folks are in only 20 laps, working that much of a gap between them and the rest of the field. It is absolutely incredible to see. They push those cars to the edge, and they know exactly where to dive into the racing lines, accelerate and decelerate smoothly, keeping that car right on that knife's razor edge. Now, as we said, you should check out, there's going to be some podcast materials. If you haven't checked us out on iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you like to tune into your favorite podcasts. Again, daily podcasts with our race sponsors. We are going to be racing.conf. One thing you want to also check out is if you're attending virtually, there is going to be a Splunk for You track session about the Big Data Beards virtual race to conf. And if you're interested in learning more about the tech behind the scenes making this entire race possible and how we're using Splunk to extract insights from the data from iRacing, you definitely want to check that out and add it to your session catalog builder.
Yeah, Corey, we just saw that the Freedom car, driven by Brett Roberts himself, just went into the pit for a little repair there. Let's see how that affects his pulling position. But the one thing I do want to talk about, too, is these McLarens. And, 1 and 2, they're not afraid to do a little bump and rub as well to get, around some of these people that they're trying to lap. So let's just be mindful of that as we watch the rest of this race today.
Absolutely. You feel like you got a little nudge there, huh? Were you in the racing line, not abiding the manners on the track?
Lines? What's a racing line, Corey?
Absolutely. Well, it's funny. We're going to look into some of the data that tells us why a car is great. Now you see there, that was not a racing line. I was just showing you there. That's what not sliding off the track. But I'm excited to hear Westy's perspective on really what are some of the key things that we can understand in the data that these McLarens and the drivers behind them are doing better than the field. And that's really what we want to learn.
Yeah, Corey, this is 1 of 10. And again, as you said, this is for an overall pole win. So maybe there's something in the data that we can look at today to help impact and adjust for our race tomorrow.
Absolutely. Excellent. Well, it's good to see those McLarens absolutely continue to put on a clinic. And one of the things we also want to let you know that you're going to see in this race, after we talk to Tom West about what happened in the race from a data perspective, we're actually going to go talk to the racers, each of the winners, the position 1, 2, and 3 of the race, and get their insights in a quick conversation about kind of what it was like to race in this exciting series. But we do want to invite everybody to make sure you hit the subscribe button on whatever platform you're watching the race on today so that you can tune into all the racing action.
Yeah, and Corey, look at this right here. So we have 10 and 11 coming down to the last lap here as the Freedom car is just trying to get around that Splunk McLaren. Let's see if it actually happens.
That BMW just doesn't seem like it has enough horsepower to catch him in the back straightaway. But there you have it, folks. The race to .conf number 1 is done.
Hi everyone, welcome to today's post-race data analysis. iRacing is a simulator that rewards clean racing more than it does whether you finish first or whether you finish last. The theory behind that being that if you drive a clean race, you will be more consistent and therefore you will be faster. So it's something that we want to put to the test. Can we see within the data that a clean race is a faster race? And if we have a look into the dashboard visualizing incident points as they go throughout the race for each racer, we can see that around halfway there is a definite grouping of vehicles that are not racking many points versus the rest of the field. And it's the same group at the end of the race that are the only 5 with the less than 10 incident points. And if we actually have a look at some of the names, Corey, myself, both the McLarens, and one of the Splunk racers, we can see that it's the exact same 3 racers here as the 3 racers that finished within the top 5, giving credibility to this theory that a clean race is a faster race. And that's what we've gone and found, but we'd love to hear from you. Is there a story within the data that you feel has not been told? Please let us know in the comments down below. Special thanks to our race sponsors, Red River, for making this all possible. This is Westy signing off. Back to you in the studio.
Well, thanks, Tom West, so much. And I want to give a big thanks to our sponsor for today's race, Red River Technologies. And there you have it, folks. McLaren 1 and 2 taking up those first positions. And congratulations to Splunk for rounding out the podium. Let's go now check in with the winners right after the race. We're live after the race with the P1, P2, and P3 winners of the first race in the virtual race to conf at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, brought to you by Red River. And I'm joined by our two winners of the race, put down crazy fast lap times, Tomek and Nathan from Team McLaren. Tomek, tell me a little bit about how it felt to win a race with such a field of incredible skill.
It was cool, yeah, definitely. I mean, I enjoyed the race. It was definitely great fun. The car felt great. The track was very cold, so it made up for really good grip and conditions over the course of the race. The car was handling exactly as I wanted it to, and yeah, I've just put in consistent lap times, trying not to get held up too much behind the traffic, not make mistakes, and that paid off. And yeah, I'm really happy to win.
Excellent.
Yeah, when you say consistent lap times, how do you do that? First and foremost, because I can't. But how do you do that when you have 12 other drivers or 13 other drivers that are so inconsistent? What's your secret there?
Consistency really just comes from practice. I feel like there's no other way to put it. It just comes with experience and practice. And generally, when I drive in the race, I just try to focus on whatever I'm doing. I'm not getting any bias from what other drivers are doing. I'm just focusing on trying to put on the best pace I can, and yeah, that basically works. And again, it's just a lot of practice, a lot of consistency. It just comes from practice and experience.
Tomek, tell me this. So for the folks that don't know you, tell me a little bit about what your role is with McLaren in the esports world, what you're doing with them.
So right now, I'm unfortunately not old enough to participate in F1 esports. It's from 16 years old. I'm just 14 at the time, so I can't get involved with the actual F1 esports team. However, I am an academy development driver, so I'll be working closely with the team for the F1 2020 Pro Series and try to help them the best I can, whilst they give me the experience of working together with an F1 team to make sure that I'm the best prepared for the Pro Series when I can join them, when I'm old enough for them. So that's just making sure I am as ready for it as possible, whilst I try to give them as much as possible from myself, help with setups, help with preparation, maybe bring in some new things. Yeah, that's my role as a development driver.
Excellent, man. Well, Nathan, I know there were some exciting moments in the race for you. Tell me what kind of sticks with you after that race as the most exciting moment for you, or maybe disappointing. I don't know which one it is.
Disappointing moment would be turn one. I should have defended more against Tomek. I let him have it too easy. But exciting moments were watching Tomek go through traffic and wondering what the traffic was going to do next. So there was loads of moments where Tomek would make a move up the inside of traffic and it wouldn't see me just behind because the gap was really close to begin with. And then they'd react to Tomek being there but not see me, and I'd be everywhere. It was a hairy race from start to finish. As soon as we caught traffic, there was basically a steady stream of traffic throughout the rest of the race, and it was just nuts. It was so much fun.
Well, everybody saw the broadcast, and they saw that there was really fast cars. Most of them were orange McLarens, and then there was everybody else. And so it was super fun to have a clinic put on by you guys. I'm curious, in your experience and in your experience in iRacing, how important is like data? How much time do you spend actually going back and really understanding what the data tells you about your performance?
It's massive because when you reach a high level of performance in any sport, it's the minute improvements that make a massive difference. Everyone is already so close at the top, so any advantage you can get is huge. And partners like Splunk making it easy for us to see in real terms what it is that we're doing wrong. Even myself versus Tomek, where is Tomek gaining the time that he's gaining on me? Why is he faster in the second sector? And just having that in front of you to digest, take that back to the track and make improvements is massive.
Absolutely. So one thing I failed to ask you guys up front was, this is absolutely a global event. We've got tracks that we're going to be racing all over the world. We started at Indianapolis, the Brickyard, for quite a historic start for us. But I'm curious, where in the world are you racing from today, Tomek? Where are you sitting?
I'm sitting here in the south of Poland, in Krakow. just with my rig at home in a late evening. Yeah, just I think that's what makes sim racing so cool. That you can just drive from all around the world wherever you are. All you need is an internet connection and maybe a rig. But yeah, I'm here from south of Poland.
Very cool. Nathan, how about you? Where are you today?
I'm slap bang in the middle of England in a place called Derby, home of the worst Premier League team of all time. That's our claim to fame.
At least they've got some good racing coming out of it. Well, we're also joined by Jason Stein. Jason Stein, where in the world are you today, sir?
I am in sunny Bend, Oregon, which is, despite the fact that people know Oregon for lots of rain, we are high desert, so about 3,500 feet, and it's about 90 degrees today. So I'm actually sweating in my garage here, just like a real race car driver.
Exactly.
That's right. Getting the full experience. Well, Jason, you took home third today. We were confident in our practice series with you that you were going to be quite the contender. How was the race for you today?
Well, I feel way better now that I lost to a McLaren-sponsored development trial. And probably because I should also mention I'm more than 3 times his age, so my reactions probably aren't the same as Tomek. So congratulations to the P1 and P2 back my McLaren. But the race was a ton of fun, guys. I'm here to have a great time, and I think what's really fun for me specifically, just being in a sales role at Splunk, participating a little bit more in the background from a technical perspective with the help of you and Brett and the rest of the team, kind of actually sending live data from my sim rig to a Splunk instance and starting to analyze that telemetry, I think will be really interesting. So
yeah,
what are some of the things that you're going to start to look at? What are the data points that you're interested in?
I'm most interested in comparing, driver inputs. So I can't agree enough with P2 talking about when you get into really fast times, it's all about the minute details. So in particular, braking and accelerating, both any proper race car driver would tell you, you're either on the gas or on the brakes and nothing in between. So having an ability to use Splunk to analyze that data, to understand those driver inputs, I think would be really fascinating for me to see, because I'm certain I'm coasting in many areas and losing time. So that'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Jason, we've got everything we're doing here. We're just going to be 10 days away from .conf, and it's right around the corner, and obviously a very different experience than we've ever had for conf. Yes. The world is going through a very different experience than we're used to, but we're still excited about it, and I'm curious from your perspective, what are you most excited about in this year's virtual .conf?
Well, it's a good question. So I'm definitely interested to see I would normally say the customer interactions, which obviously with a virtual environment these days, it's going to be much different. I've had the privilege of participating in several customer executive briefings over the course of the past couple of weeks. I'm super proud of all of the work that the conf teams have done or the executive briefing teams have brought to the table to make those experiences for our customers really interactive and impactful. So I think, Splunk and the broader partner ecosystem will continue to deliver on those things. I'm very excited about a lot of the opportunity we have just in terms of the overall platform and parlaying that into the observability and APM space that Splunk is addressing. So I think there's going to be a lot of excitement around that as well. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting way to execute on our biggest event of the year. But I think, looking forward to the impact it's going to have on our customers' education, which ultimately fosters more adoption, which continues to help the business grow.
Absolutely. Well, we encourage everybody to check out bigdatabeard.com, and we'll have tons of information about the ways that you can get involved in .conf and some experience that we're going to provide to get you racing and seeing if you can beat the beards and have a little fun with us. Now, I do want to invite you to
not
join
hard.
us. It depends on which beard you're talking about, I guess. But I do want to invite everybody to come back tomorrow. We are going to be racing at what I guess you could probably call is the Splunk home field, right? It's Laguna Seca, home of Splunk track days, customer events, and I know a lot of the folks there in the Bay Area get out and drive on a regular basis on that track. So I will be excited to see the Splunk team, how they perform, and see if the McLaren folks can defeat the home field advantage Splunkers. So thanks everybody for joining us. Team, thank you. You're incredible racers. Thank you for putting on an absolute clinic. Tomek, Nathan, and Jason, great to race with you. I look forward to trying to chase you around the track tomorrow. Thanks everybody listening to the virtual race to .conf and tuning in to see all the racing fun as we virtual race to .conf20.